He says in verse 20, the ram which you saw having the two horns, they are the kings of Media and Persia, the Medo-Persian Empire. The male goat is the kingdom of Greece. The large horn that is between its eyes is the first king. That's Alexander the Great. Now, here's a really cool story. When Alexander the Great was marching down to Egypt to conquer Egypt, he stops. He's got to pass through the land of Israel. He stops at Jerusalem. His armies gathered outside of Jerusalem. The high priest takes a scroll of Daniel, goes out to Alexander the Great, shows Alexander the Great Daniel chapter 8, and says, you're mentioned in the Bible. You're this guy right here. And Alexander the Great is so impacted by that, he spares the city of Jerusalem. And he actually goes into Jerusalem and he goes into the temple and he makes a sacrifice and an offering to the God of the Jews, Yahweh. And then he continues on his march. The Jews were so grateful that Alexander spared Jerusalem and spared their temple that the Jewish priests, any Jewish priest that year that gave birth to a son, named a son Alexander, in honor of Alexander the Great's mercy. So, now verse 22, as for the broken horn and the four that stood up in its place, 4 kingdoms shall arise out of that nation, out of the Greek Empire, but not with its power. These four kingdoms will not be as powerful as the Greek Empire under Alexander the Great. Verse 23, notice, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their fullness, a king shall arise, having fierce features, who understands sinister schemes. Again, this has a near and far fulfillment. On one hand, it's talking about Antiochus, but its ultimate fulfillment is in the Antichrist. And I want you to notice here a few details that it tells us, and it helps us understand the time of the Antichrist when he comes and what he will be like. Notice, first of all, the Antichrist will arise when transgressors have reached their fullness. The New Living Translation says when sin is at its height. And what does that tell us? That tells us the world will become more and more sinful and more ungodly as we get closer and closer to the end. The love of many will wax cold, and sin will abound on the earth. When transgressors have reached their fullness, a king shall arise, the Antichrist, and he will have fierce features. Just speaking of his brutality, it says he will understand sinister schemes. Over in chapter 11, verse 21, and in his place shall arise a vile person, to whom they will not give the honor of royalty, but he shall come in peaceably, and he shall seize the kingdom by intrigue. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, the coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And so it tells us there that he's going to come in with unrighteous deception. He's going to be working, according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, with unrighteous deception. He will deceive people when he comes. It says in verse 24, his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Revelation 13:4 says Satan will empower the Antichrist. So he'll have power, but it's going to be satanic power, not his own power. Verse 24 goes on, he shall destroy fearfully. and shall prosper and thrive. He shall destroy the mighty and also the holy people, God's people. So he's going to destroy the people of God. Again, Antiochus was the first one, but the ultimate fulfillment is the Antichrist at the end of the age. He destroys the people of God. Revelation 13 says the Antichrist will declare war on the saints. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, he will persecute the saints of the Most High. And Revelation also says that the people will praise him for it. They're going to worship him. That he's persecuting believers. So that's where the world's going. Not only will there be a world leader who makes war with the saints, but the world is going to worship him for it. They're going to be thankful that this leader is dealing with the issue of religious people, believers. Verse 25 says, through his cunning he shall cause deceit to prosper under his rule, and he shall exalt himself in his heart. He shall destroy many in their prosperity. He shall even rise against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without human means. It says through his cunning, through his deception. Daniel 11, chapter 11, verse 21 says of the Antichrist, he will come in peaceably and seize power through intrigue, through promises. Now, I want you to try to imagine a politician deceiving people with empty promises to gain power. And the Antichrist is going to be a master at it, like no politician we've ever seen.